Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to City Hall. We have 4 bills before us today, and Ms. Dickinson's here, City Councilwoman. First of 4 bills before us today is introductory number 943A, sponsored in conjunction with the Mayor by Councilmember Dickens, Comrie, Fiddler, Koo, Mealy, Rose, Williams, Rodriguez, and Crowley. Introductory number 943A reduces the amount of time it takes businesses to receive renewals to operate their place of assembly certificates of operation. This bill is part of our administration's business customer service initiative, which is working with Speaker Quinn and the City Council to make compliance with government regulations faster and easier. Places of assembly are gathering places of 75 or more people indoors and 200 or more people outdoors for all manners of establishments, including restaurants, theaters, and houses of worship. Introductory number 943A streamlines the 2-agency renewal process for a place of assembly certificate of operation that has resulted in delays, public confusion, and frustration. Specifically, the bill eliminates the need for the Department of Buildings to provide an annual renewal certificate if the business has passed its fire department inspection. The fire department will directly provide the renewal permit, making the process faster and more transparent to the public. And with this streamlining of the process, we can expect the amount of time to receive a renewal to decrease by 50%. And I would like to thank Takumbo Shobawala, the city's chief business operations officer, fire department commissioner Sal Casano, buildings department commissioner Robert Lamandry, and their staffs, along with my office of city legislative affairs. And I would also like to thank the city council for approving this legislation. And I'm going to turn first the podium over to the first of the bill's sponsors, Councilwoman.
Oh, I like that, Mr. Mayor.
She paid me $5 to say that.
This bill is so important because it will make it so much easier for small businesses that have places of assembly to be able to get their permits and get everything passed through the city by doing it almost as a one-stop shop. And it makes it so much easier because all of you are small business, I assume. Is that correct? Oh, yeah. So you know the cumbersome efforts that you've had to utilize and the hiring of expediters when you have to go to the fire department, the building department, and all different departments. That alleviates all of that. So I thank the Speaker Quinn and her staff for working hard on this bill to get this through the City Council and the Mayor for agreeing to sign it. Thank you.
And now, Takumbo Shobawala. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to say thank you to the council member and the speaker staff. There's a lot of hard work, and also to Commissioners Casano and Lamandry and their staffs. Literally hundreds of hours of work have gone into this. And the result really is about jobs. This is really about the mayor's continuing efforts over the years to make sure the city is open for business. And it may seem like a small regulatory process, but there are many things we can do which don't diminish in any way our commitment to public safety, but make it much, much easier for businesses to open, remain open, and what it really comes down to is to employ workers in the city. So this will reduce by really 4 or 5 weeks the process for these renewals, which again translates into jobs. So thanks again. We look forward to continuing to work with the Speaker and her staff and other council members, because there's much more work of this kind that we have yet to do.
Councilmember, did Takumbo do all of the work?
Well, some of it.
Would anybody like to speak? If not, I will be happy to sign the bill. The next bill before us today is introductory number 977A, sponsored in conjunction with the Mayor by Council members Ignazio Chin, Dillon, Drum, Eugenie, Ferraris, Gentili, James, Koo, Landa, Mendez, Nelson, Williams, Wills, Comrie, Recchia, Jackson, Rodriguez, Van Bremer, Valone, Garodnick, Crowley, Gennaro, Greenfield, Halloran, and Ulrich. Introductory number 977A waives building department fees associated with applications, permits, and inspections for the demolition, alteration, rebuilding, or repair of certain buildings and systems damaged by Hurricane Sandy. In an effort to provide relief to victims of Hurricane Sandy, this legislation will waive the aforementioned fees for buildings that sustained substantial structural damage or were completely demolished. This waiver will apply for construction permit applications submitted before October 31, 2014, and for electrical and plumbing applications submitted before April 30th, 2013. And I'd like to thank Buildings Commissioner Robert Lamandry and his staff, along with my Office of City Legislative Affairs, and I'd also like to thank the City Council for approving this legislation. Councilwoman, would you like to say something? Never at a loss for words.
Well, since I seem to be the only one that's representative, this is so important. The mayor has been a fierce fighter for our residents that have suffered from Hurricane Sandy. The commission, of course, has also, and his staff, went out daily and stayed out for 24 hours at a time without sleep in order to try to see to it that anyone, any of our families, any of the homes, any of the businesses that have been impacted severely by the hurricane, we would have the information on. This bill will help to facilitate and aid and getting the aid. And although the Congress did not give us all that we're entitled to, the mayor is continuing to fight for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Taz, would you like to say anything? Where's Tacumbo? Tacumbo, would you like to come back and say something? Tacumbo ducked out. Anybody else like to add anything? If not, I'll be happy to sign the bill.
I'm getting all kinds
The next bill before us is introductory number 911A, sponsored by Speaker Quinn and Council Members Sanders, Comrie, Dickens, Rania Jackson, Mark Viverito, Mealy, Williams, Arroyo, Brewer, Chin, Crowley, Drum, Eugenie, Foster, Gentili, Gonzalez, James, Koo, Capel, Koslowitz, Landa, Mendez, Palma, Recchia, Van, Garodnick, Ferraris, Rivera, Weprin, Rodriguez, Lappin, Gennaro, Greenfield, and Halloran. The introductory number 911A improves the minority and women-owned business enterprise, and known as MWBE programs, by eliminating the $1 million cap on contracts that are covered by goals for increasing participation in city contracting by businesses owned by minorities and women, and enhancing oversight and reporting requirements to ensure that the city is meeting its MWBE program goals. Introductory number 911A authorizes agencies to set goals for utilization of MWBEs on contracts above the $1 million threshold established by the old law. This will more than triple the number of contracts covered by the city's MWBE program. MWBEs have won more than $3 billion in city procurement awards and will now be able to compete more effectively for higher valued contracts. Additionally, the bill requires agency representatives to report to a mayoral designee on their progress towards meeting contract participation goals set forth in the law. And I would like to thank Deputy Mayor Kaz Holloway, Senior Policy Advisor Greg Mayor's Office of Contracts Services Director Andrea Glick, and her predecessor Marla Simpson, Small Business Services Commissioner Rob Walsh, standing over there, and all their staffs, along with Howard Friedman and Martha Mann Alfaro of the Law Department and my Office of City Legislative Affairs, and also thank the City Council for approving this legislation. And we have with us the Speaker of the City Council. Would you like to say something, Madam Speaker?
Shockingly.
Wait, I wondered why you were here.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Mayor Bloomberg, Kaz Holloway, and the rest of the team on the mayor's office who worked on this piece of legislation. I want to particularly thank our Deputy Majority Leader, Inez Dickens, for her work on this legislation. Also, council members Comrie, Mealy, Reyna, Jackson, Mark Viverito, and Williams, and former council member, now State Senator James Sanders, who worked very hard on this piece of legislation. But most significantly, I want to thank the MWBE community who really came to us in the council and to Kaz and the rest of the folks in the mayor's office and said, we can do better. And in particular, I want to thank Reverend Jacques DeGraff and Sandra Wilkin for their tremendous leadership in this area. They were ably supported by former Councilmember Walter McCaffrey, and I want to thank him. But if it wasn't for Sandra and Reverend DeGraff, honestly, we would not have been as laser focused as we have been on this for quite some time. And the great news about this piece of legislation is it is going to help put New Yorkers to work. By opening up the vast majority of city contracts in the MWBE program, by allowing MWBEs themselves to figure out what contracts, sub, et cetera, should count towards the goal, it is going to put more MWBEs to work, expanding the number of MWBEs we're contracting with in the city. But also, I'm particularly excited about the MWBE stat part of this legislation. If it sounds like a cheap ripoff on CompStat, it is. Just to be perfectly clear, when something's good, just keep running with it. And the goal there is to make sure we're not just talking about this, we're getting it done. And to having commissioners or their representatives meet on a regular basis with the mayor's office means agencies will make progress because they will have to. And it means agencies that are doing well will be able to share those good ideas with agencies that might be having more challenges. So this is a really, I think, important day that sends a message that the mayor's office and the council together really see the tremendous potential of small businesses, of minority and women-owned small businesses and other minority and women-owned businesses in this city, and that we're investing in you our full confidence by opening up city contracts in a more significant way. So thank you very, very much. I want to thank the council staff who worked very hard on this bill, Shannon, our counsel to our contracts committee, who was really, really terrific. And also Rob Newman, our legislative director, and the rest of the team on the contracts committee. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman, would you like to add something?
Just quickly, because the speaker has really said it all and said it succinctly.
But it's not been said by everyone.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. But it is important that this legislation be enacted. I thank the speaker for working so hard and her staff for working so hard on this. And Sandra and Jacques, you were the catalyst, but you had a strong fighting community behind you. You had American Fire Control, you had Eastman, you had Jim Halliger and Tim Marshall. But you also had an administration that was willing to listen. I thank Rob Walsh for agreeing. Rob and I don't agree on everything, but we agreed on this one. And this is so important. It's not the answer for everything, but if you're not sitting at the table, if you're not in the room, then you will not make the changes that's necessary. So let's be clear about that this is the beginning. It is not the end all. It is the beginning of the changes. And this mayor and this speaker stood together to see to it that we got this legislation through, and it will be the foundation to make the necessary changes that we need for our small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a number of people who would like to speak, and in this order, Walter McCaffrey, and then if others afterwards would come up and stand behind him so we can move along. Frank Garcia, the New York Statewide Coalition of Hispanic Chambers of Commerce, Cheryl McCasick, and Daniel, Alfred Paceseras, New York State Foundation of Hispanic Chambers of Commerce, and then we'll pick up some more.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for the opportunity to address you. I go back to my days in the City Council of having worked on the issue after the Adirondack and Croson decisions came down, which said that you had to have a disparity study to be able to prove that there was, in fact, a basis for such programs. And I was very proud in the days when Hader and I were on that side of the building to have been able to provide the type of resources that were necessary. The speaker was part of our team that provided it then. And we saw how, indeed, this community has grown over those intervening years. We have seen them become a vital part of the city of New York's economy. Your administration has done a terrific job. I have to single out the deputy mayor because he's been absolutely terrific in coming up with a legal strategy that will be able to sustain any sort of legal challenges, which is very, very important. And in this political climate, we always have to be mindful of that. I urge you to sign this because ultimately, in the final analysis, this is going to be good for all of the people of the city of New York. It will provide the opportunities for many individuals who can now come into new jobs. We see these companies who, in many cases years ago, were but a handful of individuals within each of their businesses. Now they are growing strong with larger numbers of employees. They've done a fabulous job. Your support has been so vital in that. I urge you to sign the bill, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Walter. Appreciate it. And thank you for everything, all the service you gave the city over the years. Thank you. Frank Garcia?
Mayor, my name is Frank Garcia. I'm chairman of the New York Statewide Coalition of Hispanic Chamber. We're official state chamber for the U.S. Hispanic Chamber. We are against this bill. I know Peter Fontanez from the Hispanics in Construction just had some health issues. They rushed him just now in the MTA. He cannot make it right now because this was overwhelming for him. We are against this bill because we feel that's anti-Hispanic. It's anti-business for our community. From 9% to go down to 4%. And some of the chambers here, I know some of the organizations that say they represent Hispanic businesses, we represent 25 real chambers that are part of the U.S. Hispanic Chamber. And to do this legislation, knowing that a lot of our members are busy with your staff working on the Sandy issue, and for us to do this now, for us, this wasn't the right time. And I have to say, we're against the bill, and we are looking at our legal challenge right now to challenge this bill. I helped with the original bill. I was there, and I supported it. We took a less percentage then to take a percentage now. We cannot support it as a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Cheryl McKessick-Daniel?
Good afternoon. I'm Cheryl McKissick-Daniels, and I am the president of the Women Builders Council. And we are a leading organization in New York that advocates for women in construction. And we are proud to join with you today, Mayor Bloomberg, as you sign into law this groundbreaking legislation that will open doors for many businesses and thousands of minority and women-owned businesses. And as you know, this legislation is specifically important to women-owned businesses. For almost 7 years, we have suffered from a flawed disparity study that took place in 2005 that has now been corrected. So with courage and wisdom, you have taken positive steps to create a level playing field for all women in New York City. Women-owned businesses represent a new generation of leadership for New York City in a non-traditional construction industry, and we look forward to working with you, City Council, Speaker Quinn, all of my friends over there, thank you, to help us develop best practices that will encourage the present stock of women builders to thrive and grow, and at the same time encourage young women and engineers and entrepreneurs in the city of New York. We also would like to let you know that you are an honorary member of WBC, and we have a pin for you.
That's what I always wanted. Thank you. Alfred Placeres.
There's your pin, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Of course I can hammer. Wait a second, I'm not sure Alfred's going to be happy I'm putting this on.
Oh, my time is running. Mayor, okay, I represent the New York State Federation of Hispanic Chambers of Commerce. We've been around since 1983. And I was elected to the board of the U.S. Hispanic Chamber twice in 2004 and 2007. So I can assume from it, when you have an election that you can represent people. We support the bill. I've been involved with the Mayoral Small Business Committee since Mayor Koch's term. I was there when Mayor Dinkins came out with the executive order that started this whole process. And I walked away when Giuliani's first executive order was to get rid of Mayor Dinkins' executive order. And then you came out with an executive order, and Speaker Quinn said we better get law, legislation, because we don't want the next mayor to come out and throw it out. So we've been in this process for a long time. We support the bill. I just want to take advantage of this time to take advantage of the momentum we have here, the coalition that Jack DeGraff and Sandra have put together, and look at moving forward as we start asking more of you guys what we need to ask from ourselves. In order for us to get our numbers up, I'm not happy with 8 or 4% for Hispanics, but political pressure threatening our council members is not going to get us a higher percentage. We've got to get more MWB firms, we've got to get them certified, and we've got to get them work. So I think we need to do more work among ourselves. When we start getting these bigger contracts, we've got to make sure that that trickles down. Who's doing your printing, who's your accountant, all these people need to get certified, and if we all do that, I think our numbers will go up, and I think we need to take this positive energy and keep it going. Thank you.
Alfred, thank you. James Healthlighter, I can't read the writing. Haller, is it?
James
Halliger, sorry, I apologize. And then Nyan Pariku.
Good afternoon. My name is James Holliger. I'm the president of Association of Minority Enterprises of New York. That's AMINI. We've been around for 36 years. We were the ones who came along with Nat Singleton and a senior Como and created Article 15A. We then went on with the women's group, pressured Pataki to not let it sunset. We're the ones who first objected to the executive orders from all of the mayors because they tend to disappear. But I'd like to say, first of all, I'm in favor of this because we were at the table. There's a difference between having people design something for you. I used to be the Deputy Director of Economic Development of the State of New York under Basil Patterson, and people would go into a boardroom and make decisions and come out and ask us to implement them, and we had no input into it. This was a different story. I'd like to thank at this time Deputy Mayor Cass, Walsh. I'd like to pay homage to Maxwell and Ann Roscoe. Is that my right, Roscoe? Well, you're always hiding behind there. She quietly, when you ask her to do something and she can't do it, she says, I cannot do it, but I'll see somebody who can. And that's all you ask for sometimes. Don't lie to me. Just tell me that's beyond what you can do, but I'll take a shot of it. When you run into people like that, you have some faith. We talked about project labor agreements. We didn't like what the labor union came up with. The mayor's office invited us in. We talked it out. We came up with a project labor agreement. That's the kind of thing you ask for, people to be able to just listen to you, to work things out. Some people say I'm a little outspoken. I try to mellow down, but it don't seem to quite work. But you appreciate being able to work with people who at least give you the amount of respect that you give them respect in return. And sometimes when you disagree with people and you're ready to fight, then you got this little lady standing behind me that's running this Sandy thing, who I didn't like when I first met her, but by the time I left the room, I could tell the sincerity in the movement, and I see the results. So I'd like to publicly thank her.
Thank you very much. Nyan, and then after that, Elizabeth Velez, Timothy Marshall, Sandra Wilkin, Reverend Jacques-Andre DeGraff, in that order, please.
Good afternoon, Mayor. I represent Society of Indo-American Engineers and Architects. I'm president. Our organization is in business for 31 years. It's a non-profit organization. It has been a long struggle that brings us today to success. For over a decade, I have worked and helped the process open to the WBE community. It has been a long and sometimes frustrating. The road has been made easier thanks to you, Deputy Mayor Cass Holloway, Speaker Quinn, and City Council, and also Greg Meyer. Our path has been well-traveled, so many great fellows, MBE, who gave us their time and talent to the toll. I'm very grateful for the economic vision. Today is a good day. It will be even better with you signing the 9/11 intro law. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Good day, and it's a great day, actually. It's a new day, as Speaker Quinn has said. My name is Elizabeth Velez, and I'm president of the Velez Organization, a construction management and general construction firm established for over 40 years. But perhaps more importantly, I wear a few other hats. I'm a co-chair of the New York City Mentorship Advisory Committee, and I am also chair of the Latino Builders Coalition, which is a group of Latino businesses in the construction and design profession. We've been around, our members have been around for over 100 years and have done over $1 billion worth of work. So it's a new day, it's a great day. One of the best things I think that one can do is to view things in perspective, to be able to measure accomplishments, but also to be able to evaluate success. For minority business enterprises, especially in construction and professional services, success is directly tied to the ability to gain access to opportunities, to survive, to thrive, to gain capacity, and to hire from within our communities. For far too many years, New York City procurement has been rather unbalanced, and this Intro 911 does quite a bit to change that. So we are in support on behalf of the Latino Builders Council.
Thank you very much.
Intro 911 takes a major step forward. Transformative changes, we've talked about that. According to the New York City Construction Outlook, as prepared by the New York Building Congress, the next 3 years in construction for capital spending by New York City will slightly increase, and that is quite a difference from the national platform and the national economy, which is decreasing. So now is a very important time for this legislation to take place. And where we realize that minority businesses are increasing, and on a national scale, the numbers of the minority populations are also increasing, we are aware that where there have been decreases to the participation for Latino businesses, we know that we'll be able to work with you to increase that as we go on. We are in support. Thank you.
Timothy Marshall, followed by Sandra and Reverend DeGraff.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Speaker Quinn, the Honorable Inez Dickens, Deputy Mayor Kaz Holloway, Mr. Greg Mayers, and distinguished leaders of the MWBE community. My name is Timothy Marshall, and I'm here wearing two hats in support of Intro 911A. First, as President and CEO of the Jamaica Business Resource Center, which was founded by President Clinton to be a national model for small business development. Our support is not in a vacuum because we have, since our inception, now provided assistance to over 7,500 small businesses throughout the city of New York, across all industry sector and all 5 boroughs of the New York City. We see on a daily basis the kinds of issues that small businesses face. Access to market opportunities, contracts, capital, all of which are issues that we're so proud that through Commissioner Walsh and Deputy Mayor Kaz Holloway, through Compete to Win, we've seen significant improvements in access to market opportunities and all the other support that is necessary. I'm also here as a founder and one of the leading members of the Minority Business Leadership Council, a coalition of 15 leading minority business organizations throughout downstate New York, which has been at the front lines of advocacy. We were there with you, Mr. Mayor, with your first 2 executive orders. We were there with you with Local Law 129 and Councilwoman Dickens and others. While we know that there's still more work to be done, this is an historic day. This is a milestone because we have removed the cap of $1 million on contracts that minorities and women can gain access to. That is significant. At a time when joblessness in our communities is at an all-time high, we welcome and support this legislation, and we want to work with you and the Speaker and the City Council in making the further improvements to make sure that our community effectively participates and that jobs are gained. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sandra Wilkin.
Good afternoon, Mayor Bloomberg. My name is Sandra Wilkin, and it has been close to 10 years of this road for myself and many of the minority and women businesses that so much dedicate themselves to the businesses in the city of New York. This particular bill will strengthen and guide the businesses in the city to be able to work in a way that's much more evenly balanced than it has been. This is a journey that has taken us to many, many different facets of legislation, of businesses, and especially of associations and organizations that we are so proudly held in the city of New York. And as a result of this and the Intro 9/11, to be able to pass it today is quite an honor to be here. We could not have possibly have done that without the support of the talent and the vision that was here. Deputy Mayor Cass Holloway and Speaker Quinn have been amazing in this process, and we thank them. We thank Councilmember Dickens and all the other city council members that were in support of this bill. We know as businesses how difficult it is, that we know that all businesses start small, and we know this is an opportunity for all businesses in the city of New York. We can hold our heads up high today and know that the opportunity is there. And I thank you and wish your support in signing Intro 9/11A.
Thank you. Reverend DeGraff.
Somebody said not too long ago, yes, we can. In the faith community, we would have said we've come this far by faith. But I think the writer got it best when he said more powerful than all the armies is the power of an idea whose time has come. We're here today not just to mark the passage and signing of a bill, because we're here today to mark a change in the power equation in the city of New York. A new seat has been added to the table. Some people in November 6th saw that something happened in America, and it began in New York. We came to tell the world today that there's no lame duck in City Hall, because Mike Bloomberg and his administration had the courage, the commitment, and the integrity to take a stand when other people had counted them out. The forces of status quo will always file lawsuits. Lawsuits have been filed against the Voting Rights Act, against the Housing Act, and against the Civil Rights Act, and they are now in the dustbin of history. We found a friend in City Hall who we call the MVP. His name is Cass Holloway. In the church, we have another friend who we would have called the ram in a bush. His name is Greg Mayers. There has been, you heard today, assembled a plethora of all-star voices and advocates. It didn't just happen. It happened because this is a business program, not a social program. It's not patronage. It's not welfare. It's not lowering of standards. It's business. And we want to be part of the business of the city of New York. So we thank Speaker Quinn and Inez Dickens, who opened doors for us. The symbol of the 100 black men, of which I am first vice president, is opening doors for opportunity. Today, the city of New York announced that they would put an Eagle Academy in Harlem. We stand here today knowing that because of this legislation, opportunities for jobs and businesses will grow in the city of New York. And just like time is running out for status quo, we believe that today this has been a step towards the light and that the best is yet to come.
Well said. And lastly, Peter Fontana. Peter? One more, Peter. Good.
Hello. Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry I got here late, but unfortunately the wheelchair. There's a broken elevator in Queens Plaza. That's why. But in all seriousness, I've said at the hearing, and I've said it over and over again. This is a great bill, but unfortunately, it's like a beautiful house that looks great outside, nice counters, but there are termites in this bill. There are serious termites. And I'm saddened by the fact that my colleagues, in the fight that we fought so well together to get more minorities to develop a sense of belonging to the business community, the overall business community in this city, all of a sudden we're being told, you know what, you're going to be thrown under the bus with this bill. The deal breaker for us, Mr. Mayor, is that you're cutting 9%. You're cutting from 9% participation goals from the Latino community to 4%. That's over half. even though you're increasing the cap, you have to remember that the methodology used in this study, first of all, which has been very hard to get hold of and very hard to understand. But we know that it did not take into account the hardship that the Latino community had in the certification process in the past 2 years. As you well know, we had the affidavit issue. We also had the issue of trying to get certificates from grandmothers and mothers to certify that you were Latino, which we thought was an insult. Fortunately, you have always listened to us. In this case, you got to listen to us. You cannot throw us under the bus. From 9% to 4%, that will not stand, Your Honor. You may sign the bill. You have a lot of support from a whole lot of folks. Folks I'm disappointed in, but I would tell you I'm very disappointed that people have gone forward and sold us under the bus. And so somebody can tell me why we went from 9% to 4%. You know, I've always been a reasonable person. This is wrong, no matter which way you look at it. We have become the sacrificial lamb. And I represent the only real Latino construction organization certified by the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and also I'm also chairman of a group that has been in existence for 10 years.
Okay,
Thank
Peter,
you very much,
I hear
Honor.
you and I hear Frank, and I just want Kaz to talk a little bit about why he thinks this is the right thing. And based on his recommendation and listening to people, I will sign the bill, but I wanted you to understand what the thinking was and to clarify my thinking. Kaz?
Well, Peter, we all know that one of the bases that you have to have, and I think one of the first speakers mentioned the Croson case, that was Councilmember McCaffrey, and the only way that these kinds of programs can be put in place at all is if they are based on data that shows that there is disparity. And that study, the data that you need not only has to show that there is disparity in contracts, you have to do a whole analysis of the capacity in the marketplace. So it is true that in certain categories, one of them was Hispanic construction firms, that the overall goal that the new updated study supported went from 9% to 4% participation goal. And I know, having met with you many times, that the number of Hispanic firms, as many firms did, struggled, and that capacity probably did diminish during the period, particularly of the economic, the financial collapse. But the good news is we have to be committed to looking and refreshing this study sooner than every 10 years. What we need to do is go back out and through programs like Compete to Win and the grants that we're making available, hopefully we're going to work with you to help you increase the capacity of these firms, and we'll address these goals again. But in order to have a program that was going to withstand legal challenge and to have a program that we could all feel confident we were going to be able to move forward with now, we had to do a study, do an analysis, and that's what the analysis showed. And just one more point. The removal of the $1 million cap, which another person who spoke mentioned, extremely important. It takes the overall pie of available contracts from about $422 million under the 2005 Local Law 129 to over $2 billion. And that was contract opportunity that could not be left on the cutting room floor when it comes to the MWB community.
Yes, sir.
Kaz, thank you. I will sign the bill now. One more bill before us today. The final bill before us today is introductory number 972, sponsored at the request of the administration by Council members Recchia, Dickens, Koo, Wills, and Eugenie. Introductory number 972 increases the annual expenditure for 7 business improvement districts. As you know, business improvement districts, known as BIDs, are voluntarily formed community organizations that promote business development and improve the quality of life in neighborhoods across the city. Established by law, BIDs are self-funded by local property owners and are overseen by the city's Department of Small Business Services. To date, 23 BIDs have been established under our administration, which provide maintenance and sanitation services, security services, marketing and promotion of local businesses, holiday lighting, economic development, beautification, and landscaping to a variety of neighborhoods. These services provided to the community are essential to ensuring that small businesses and the neighborhoods in which they operate are given every opportunity to succeed. Introductory number 972 increases the annual assessment amount of the following BIDs: Fifth Avenue Association in Manhattan, Bryant Park in Manhattan, Downtown Lower Manhattan, Kings Highway in Brooklyn, 47th Street in Manhattan, North Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, and Madison 23rd Flatiron Chelsea in Manhattan. And I want to thank the Department of Small Business Services, Commissioner Rob Walsh, and his staff for working together with these communities to help strengthen and expand services in these bids, and also thank the council for their approving this legislation. Commissioner, you want to say something?
Just very quickly. The mayor said from day one that he would be very bullish about business improvement districts, and it certainly has shown as Dan Biederman is shaking his head in the back, remembering some other times. And what Dan and so many other people, Tom Cusack and Jennifer Brown and many others in this room have done in New York, you think about it, we have the largest network of business improvement districts in the country. More bids have been created in the Bloomberg administration than any other administration. The mayor understands the quality of life issues start with clean and safe and marketing neighborhoods and pulling them together. And that's exactly what has happened in many of these neighborhoods. I want to thank our Deputy Commissioner, Elizabeth De Leon, James Metham, Assistant Commissioner, and the staff here at from SBS, what they have done over the last 11 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. One person has signed up, Jennifer Brown. Jennifer? And Wiedemann?
I'm just speaking quickly on behalf of 7 of us who went for assessment increases. Thank you, of course, to the City Council for your ongoing support, the individual members who represent our neighborhoods, and I really want to thank you, Mayor Bloomberg and Commissioner Walsh, and all of SBS for what has really been, as you said, 11 years of steadfast support for the work that we do in our neighborhoods. It is much appreciated, and thank you very much.
Good. Okay. Nothing? Anybody else? If not, I'd be happy to sign the bill.